I was pretty optimistic going into livealive for two reasons. One is that the game genuinely looked amazing. Since most major developers are constantly pushing for more and more realistic graphics, it's always a breath of fresh air to see unique art directions that actually look nice. Secondly, I'm a massive hater. Everyone knows how bad Pokemon has become, and I just needed another data point to dunk on innocent kids trying to enjoy those games. I'm very happy to announce that I got exactly that. Pokemon is literally the biggest media franchise ever, but livealive only further proved that its games are so far below the standard even for a JRPG, which is a genre generally considered below the standard of everything else. livealive is a remake of a 1994 game with a cool premise. You can play through 7 unique chapters from different time periods in whatever order you wish. I've watched One Punch Man and Demon Slayer, which basically makes me Japanese, so I started off with this chapter. Honestly, it sucked ass. I was struggling to sleep one night, so I turned on my Switch to play this chapter and I was knocked out in 5 minutes max. I completely made that story up, but my point is that it's boring as hell. It looks amazing, but it's filled with pathetically weak grunts, very unintuitive methods of progression, and a terrible ending. The big reveal after beating the final boss is just, oh, you beat me? But what if I was obese and a frog, huh? It's been 4 days and I still can't figure out how to react to this. The game was off to a bad start, but I enjoyed the other chapters I played. Each individual story is about 60 to 90 minutes long, so while they're almost forced to remain short and simple, they're still engaging and, for the most part, fulfilling. Most chapters I played were filled with funny moments that added to the playful tone of the game without interrupting serious moments. The writing was also pretty interesting throughout livealive. It was mostly solid, but some moments really stood out, like this scene.
Let me guess. It's not that you hate milk, but that you can't stomach it, unless it's fresh from your mother's tits.
Your mother's, maybe.
Huh?
Occasionally though, there were some weaker lines. Like, I don't think Splish Splash is appropriate for a behemoth fish that's almost as fat as your mom. Now let's discuss gameplay. Many JRPGs have a tedious grinding phase and a plethora of random encounters that just slow the pace of the game. livealive did not have random encounters, and I'd been fighting a lot of enemies to make sure I wasn't under-leveled in the Japan chapter, but it turns out you can do the entire thing without fighting a single one. So livealive did a good job of removing these annoying tropes. I was just too dumb to notice it. Also, turn-based combat is very widely hated, but I don't usually mind it, especially in games like this where it isn't the focal point. But battles like these where you have to wait for 10 enemies between each move get annoying quickly. This was luckily very rare in the game. Lastly, they showed very extensive tips and loading screens that lasted less than half a second. The only thing I can think of doing in that short of a time is smashing that subscribe button, but reading a whole ass paragraph? Nah. The genre of JRPGs is one that is very polarizing. For the most part, people either unconditionally love them or unconditionally hate them. The only JRPGs I've experienced are Pokemon, where I've played almost every old game, and this one, livealive. These games are a nice occasional change of pace, but I would never personally play 2 JRPGs back to back. Millions of others would though, and Square Enix will happily milk them for all they're worth. Don't get me wrong, Nintendo is very greedy with Pokemon, and other franchises in the genre like Xenoblade, Yakuza, and Persona all have a very strong footing, but Square Enix is on another level, specifically with Final Fantasy. We have Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. This isn't even the full list of Final Fantasy VII games, but I know damn well they're all gonna sell well. I don't understand the people that are buying all these games if I'm being honest, but I'm guessing they're enjoying them, so it doesn't really matter. These people are the backbone of the JRPG genre. It can be argued that Pokemon and Final Fantasy are both at their worst states right now, at least in terms of greed, but they still have such a loyal fan base buying every product released, so no matter how bad the state of this genre gets, I'm sure JRPGs will continue to thrive.